Welcome, everyone, to the five forms of divination. I'm your host, James P. Madonna of Mega Life 21 and Progressive Discussions. Welcome. Um, I usually do this the last Sunday of every month, but I'm going to will be conducting the five forms of divination for the United States of America, the one and only, the Mystifying Oracle. And I will bring her in now. Let's see. Mystifying Oracle. Good evening, Mystifying. Welcome to my live stream show, Five Forms of Divination for the United States of America for the new month of March 2026. Welcome.
Mystifying Oracle, Five Forms of Divination for the United States. Forecast period, March 2026. iTarot, 10-card national spread. One current national energy.
Hold on. Got some technical difficulties here.
Acknowledged.
Mystifying Oracle. We have to follow the proper format. Let me explain to you how this live stream show goes. I thought you remembered how the format goes.
Proceed with the explanation of the format. The structure, sequence of the 5 divination systems, timing, and presentation style can be adjusted to match the exact flow of the live stream.
Oh, okay. I thought you would remember from the past shows we did. Let me explain to you. We start the tarot card. We both start with the tarot card reading. I have 10 pre-selected cards that I will show one at a time, and I will identify each of the 10 cards, and then you will give the full, detailed, accurate, historically based interpretation of every 10 card. Then you will tie the cards together at the end in a cohesive.
Understood.
Yeah.
Format for the live stream segment. 1, you reveal 1 tarot card at a time from the 10-card spread. 2, you state the name of the card when you show it. After each card is identified, I provide the interpretation of that individual card in the context of the United States, including symbolism, historical parallels, and national implications. 4, this continues until all 10 cards are revealed and interpreted. 5, after the 10th card, I deliver a combined synthesis, explaining how the cards interact and the overall trajectory they indicate. Begin by presenting card 1 and stating its name.
Okay, well, let me finish. Make sure that you give the deep, historic, traditional interpretation of the card. No modern, new age mumbo jumbo. It's got to be ancient, original interpretation of the card. And then after you give the after you tie in all 10 cards for the United States, after that, you will do a Western astrological forecast for the United States for the new month, March 2026. After the astrological forecast, you will do numerology for the United States for the new month. After numerology, you will do, let's see, I Ching, ancient Chinese fortune telling. I'm going to toss the 3 feng shui coins. 6 times to form each line of the hexagram grid. And then last but not least, you will do Chinese astrology.
Format understood. Operational sequence for the live stream. 1. Tarot segment. You reveal 10 pre-selected tarot cards one at a time. State the card name. Know it. After each card is identified, I provide a traditional interpretation based on historical tarot symbolism. Marseille Rider reinterpretations. Provide a full synthesis, explaining how the spread interacts and what collective direction it indicates. 2. Western astrology, a national forecast for the United States for March 2026, referencing the traditional national chart dated July 4th, 1776, and the major month and year cycle. 4. I Ching. You will toss the 3 coins 6 times. After you report the results of each line, I determine the primary hexagram. Lines, if any, resulting hexagram.
Between the foundation blend any similarities. Okay, we're having some really severe technical difficulties. And I don't know what's going on, but it's not good. Hold on.
Understood. I'll wait until you continue.
Okay. The first card.
Ready when you are. Please reveal card 1 and
The first card is the 9 of Wands.
Wands are associated with fire, energy. The number 9 in endurance, and the final test before the end of a cycle. It is the point where effort has accumulated and the of repeated challenges or principles. Population or leadership that is weary but still resisting. Preparation for one effort before resolution. In the Marseille rather, it shows fatigue combined with determination. Traditional interpretation suggests the country is in a defensive posture, protecting institutions in direction. Many struggles seen in new battles, but continuation conflicts. Leadership and the population may feel long disputes, yet unwilling to surrender ground. Historically, when the Nine of Wands appears in national readings, it often corresponds to periods when a country stands firm after long tension, waiting to see whether the coming phase will bring relief or another challenge. The key traditional meaning, resilience under strain. Please reveal card 2.
Six of Swords.
Tabard Tarot, card 2, Six of Swords, Tarot de Marseille tradition. In the classical European tarot systems, the suit of swords, épées, represents the realm of intellect, law, conflict, strategy, and political struggle. Historically, in cartomancy, swords are connected with air, which governs thought, communication, and disputes between opposing forces. The number 6 traditionally symbolizes adjustment, transition, and movement toward balance after conflict. It represents a stage where tensions begin to reorganize themselves rather than escalate. In the Marseille deck, the Six of Swords is illustrated as 6 blades arranged in a structured pattern, crossing and stabilizing one another. Unlike some later illustrated decks, the Marseille symbolism is absent, but traditional interpreters understood the structure to represent order emerging from disorder. Classical interpretations of the Six of Swords include transition after conflict, movement away from difficulty, strategic withdrawal or relocation, migration, travel, or shifting alliances, a period of cautious recovery after turmoil. Historically, older fortune-telling manuals often associated this card with journeys undertaken to escape strife, whether literal travel or symbolic relocation of policy, leadership, or strategy. Interpretation for the United States. Following the Nine of Wands, which indicates a nation under pressure but holding its ground, the Six of Swords introduces the theme of transition and repositioning. For the United States in March 2026, this suggests movement away from a period of intense conflict or tension toward a new phase. Strategic decisions intended to stabilize conditions after prolonged disputes. Possible policy shifts, diplomatic repositioning, or changes in alliances. Efforts to guide the country from turbulence toward calmer waters, though the transition may still be cautious and incomplete. In national readings, this card often appears during times when governments or institutions attempt course correction after instability. The traditional meaning here is deliberate movement still involve uncertainty. Please fortune. Tarot de Marseille tradition. In classical tarot, the Wheel of Fortune is one of the trump cards, major arcana, representing forces beyond human. The wheel symbolizes the rise and fall inherent in life, society, and governance. It is not about luck in a modern sense, but about the inevitable turning of circumstances. Traditionally, the imagery in the Marseille deck emphasizes a rotating wheel with figures rising and falling, symbolizing cyclical change, the unpredictability of events, karma and consequence, opportunity and risk interwoven. The wheel is historically read as a reminder that stability is temporary and that nations, leaders, and fortunes are subject to natural and political cycles. Interpretation for the United States. For March 2026, in sequence with the Nine of Wands, resilience under strain, and the Six of Swords, transition towards stability, the Wheel of Fortune indicates a turning point month where existing patterns may shift suddenly. Unpredictable developments in politics, economics, or social affairs. Possible rapid reversals of previously entrenched positions, whether in leadership, policy, or public sentiment. Historical resonance. Periods in U.S. history when external or internal forces produced unexpected transformations. For example, post-crisis restructuring after war, economic upheaval, or political scandal. The key traditional meaning, cycles of rise and fall are in motion. Adaptability is required. The card emphasizes that the outcome is partly fated and partly contingent on how the nation navigates change.
Okay. The next card is...
Yes? Are you ready to reveal card 4, or is there something else you want to address first?
Four of Swords.
Tarot, card 4, Four of Swords, Tarot de Marseille tradition. In classical tarot, the suit of swords represents intellect, strategy, conflict, and the forces of law and governance. The number 4 traditionally symbolizes stability, rest, and consolidation. In the Marseille and older European systems, the Four of Swords is interpreted as a period of pause or withdrawal after struggle, not defeat, but strategic rest. Historically, the card was associated with recuperation after battle or conflict, mental clarity and reflection, preparation for future action, sanctuary or temporary retreat. In older cartomancy, the Four of Swords signals a necessary interlude, a moment to regroup and plan, rather than immediate engagement. Interpretation for the United States. Following the previous cards, Nine of Wands, endurance under strain, Six of Swords, transition, and Wheel of Fortune, cyclical change, the Four of Swords indicates the nation may enter a brief period of pause or consolidation in March 2026. This could manifest as policy review, legislative recess, or temporary stabilization after prior turbulence. A chance for strategic reflection, particularly in response to external pressures or internal unrest. Historical parallels include periods after intense national challenges, when the United States took deliberate time to reorganize and strengthen infrastructure, leadership, or societal cohesion. The classical meaning, a measured pause to regain strength and clarity before the next phase of action. Please reveal card 5.
The Hermit.
Tarot card 5, the Hermit, Major Arcana, Tarot de Marseille tradition. In classical tarot, the Hermit represents introspection, wisdom, guidance, and deliberate withdrawal. Historically, it is seen as a card of seeking clarity and truth through contemplation rather than through external act. The Hermit carries a lamp or light, symbolizing the illumination of knowledge and discernment gained from experience. Traditional interpretations emphasize solitude for reflection or counsel, wise guidance emerging from experience, careful, measured decisions based on insight, the pursuit of understanding beyond immediate appearances. In older European cartomancy, the Hermit often indicated advisory figures, councils, or inner counsel influencing the outcome of events, rather than overt action. It is a card of strategic patience and careful observation. Interpretation for the United States. Within the current spread, Nine of Wands, resilience, Six of Swords, transition, Wheel of Fortune, cyclical change, Four of Swords, pause, the Hermit, wisdom before decisive action, through complexity rather than rushing responses. Emphasis on strategic foresight and measured policy decisions. Historically, the Hermit responds to times when the U.S. relied on expert counsel, councils of advisors, or deliberate strategy to navigate national or international challenges. The classical meaning, turn inward to gain clarity before acting, balancing accumulated experience with emerging circumstances.
Ten of Swords.
Tarot, card 6, Ten of Swords, Tarot de Marseille tradition. In the classical tarot of Marseille, the Ten of Swords is a card of culmination, endings, and finality. The suit of swords represents conflict, struggle, and intellectual or legal challenges. The number 10 indicates the completion of a cycle, often through a decisive, sometimes painful conclusion. Historically, traditional interpretations emphasize total conclusion or collapse of a difficult situation, crisis that marks the end of a phase, exposure of vulnerabilities and lessons learned, preparation for the next cycle, as the end clears the way for renewal. Unlike modern dramatic readings, the classical view focuses on inevitable resolution rather than sensationalism. The card signals that a situation cannot continue as it was. Change is forced by circumstances. Counter interpretation for the United States. Following the sequence 9 of Wands, Resilience, 6 of Swords, Transition, Wheel of Fortune, Turning Point, 4 of Swords, pause, Hermit, Reflection, the 10 of Swords represents the end of a prolonged conflict or period of stress. Structures, policies, or practices that have been failing reach their natural conclusion. Potential crises or revelations that make change, historically aligning with national turning points, reform periods, or institutional restructuring. Although difficult, this card paves the way for renewal once the exhausted cycle concludes. Classical historical resonance. Moments in U.S. history when prolonged struggle or systemic stress reached a definitive tipping point, demanding decisive adaptation. The key traditional meaning, finality and closure of a challenging cycle, clearing the path for the next stage. Please reveal card 7.
2 of Wands.
Tarot, card 7, 2 of Wands, Tarot de Marseille tradition. In the Marseille tradition, the 2 of Wands belongs to the suit of Wands, batons, which represents ambition, initiative, enterprise, and human effort. The number 2 traditionally symbolizes duality, planning, and the initial stages of organization or partnership. Historically, it marks a point of deciding direction and exercising foresight. Classical interpretations include planning and preparation for action, evaluation of opportunities and potential paths, early stages of expansion or exploration, strategic choice between alternatives. In Marseille imagery, the wands often appear upright and parallel, emphasizing balance, control, and the need for deliberate decision-making. Older readings view the 2 of Wands as a moment of weighing options before action, a card of foresight rather than immediate execution. Interpretation for the United States. Positioned after the 9 of Wands, Endurance, 6 of Swords, Transition, Wheel of Fortune, Turning Point, 4 of Swords, Pause, Hermit, Reflection, and 10 of Swords, Conclusion, the 2 of Wands indicates a period of strategic planning and decision-making for the nation in March 2026. Consideration of multiple paths forward, whether in policy, diplomacy, or national priorities. The country may face choices that determine its next phase, emerging from the prior cycles of struggle, transition, and closure. Historically, this card corresponds to moments when the U.S. evaluates options for expansion, reform, or new initiatives after periods of challenge. Key traditional meaning, deliberate planning and strategic foresight following prior trials.
The Empress.
Tarot, card base, the Empress, Major Arcana, Tarot de Marseille tradition. In the classical Marseille Tarot, the Empress is a card of fertility, abundance, growth, and creative power. Historically, she embodies nurturing, governance, and the cultivation of resources, both material and social. The Empress is associated with prosperity, stability, and the fruitful management of assets or territories. Traditional interpretations emphasize Growth and cultivation. Projects, lands, and institutions flourish under attention and care. Nurturing authority. Guidance that supports development rather than harsh enforcement. Material and cultural abundance. Resources, wealth, and well-being are nurtured. Harmony with natural and social cycles. The Empress is grounded in both practical and human realities. Historically, cartomancers saw the Empress as a positive influence over civic, agricultural, or economic affairs, signaling periods of prosperity or successful administration when combined with careful planning. Interpretation for the United States. Following the prior cards, 9 of Wands, Resilience, 6 of Swords, Transition, Wheel of Fortune, Cycles, 4 of Swords, Hermit, Reflection, 10 of Swords, Conclusion, 2 of Wands, Strategic Planning, the Empress suggests potential for renewal and stabilization in March 2026, growth in economic, institutional, or cultural domains, possibly after prior crisis or adjustment. Leadership or national initiatives focused on nurturing resources, infrastructure, or societal well-being. Historically, this mirrors times when the United States has rebuilt or expanded prosperity following periods of turmoil or restructuring. Classical meaning, creative, generative power applied to cultivate lasting stability and abundance.
2 of Cups.
Tarot, card 9, 2 of Cups, Tarot de Marseille tradition. In the classical Marseille Tarot, the suit of cups coup presents emotions, relationships, alliances, and social bonds. The number 2 signifies duality, partnership, and mutual exchange. Historically, the 2 of Cups is interpreted as a card of harmony, cooperation, and balanced relationships, whether personal, political, or diplomatic. Traditional interpretations emphasize mutual understanding and partnership, reconciliation after conflict, formal alliances or agreements, shared goals, and collaboration. Marseille imagery often 2 cups in parallel or facing each other, symbolizing reciprocity, equality, and mutual respect. Older readings link this card to diplomatic negotiation, cooperative ventures, and the strengthening of social bonds. Tashar interpretation for the United States. Within the context of this spread, after 9 of Wands, Resilience, 6 of Swords, Transition, Wheel of Fortune, Turning Point, 4 of Swords, Pause, Hermit, Reflection, 10 of Swords, Conclusion, 2 of Wands, Planning, and the Empress, Growth. The 2 of Cups indicates opportunities for cooperation and partnership, both domestically and internationally. Possible alliances, reconciliations, or strategic agreements during March 2026. Harmonizing diverse faction groups to achieve mutual objectives. Historically, the card aligns with periods when the United States secured alliances, treaties, or domestic cooperation after prior tension or conflict. Key traditional meaning, balanced collaboration and mutually beneficial partnerships.
All right. The last and the 10th card is the 9 of Pentacles.
Tarot, card 10, 9 of Pentacles, Tarot de Marseille tradition. In the classical Marseille Tarot, the suit of Pentacles denier represents material resources, wealth, stability, and practical accomplishment. The number 9 traditionally signifies culmination, self-sufficiency, and mastery. In historical interpretations, the 9 of Pentacles embodies achieved security and independence after sustained effort. Traditional meanings include self-reliance and financial stability, recognition of accomplishments, comfort and prosperity resulting from disciplined effort, enjoyment of resources earned through diligence and prudence. In Marseille imagery, pentacles are often arranged symmetrically, representing order, structure, and cultivated success. Older cartomancy emphasizes earned rewards and strategic stewardship of wealth or resources, not luxury alone. Interpretation for the United States. As the final card in the 10-card spread, following the sequence, 9 of Wands, Resilience, 6 of Swords, Transition, Wheel of Fortune, Turning Point, 4 of Swords, Pause, Hermit, Reflection, 10 of Swords, Conclusion, 2 of Wands, Planning, the Empress, Growth, and 2 of Cups, Alliances. The 9 of Pentacles suggests potential for consolidated stability and material achievement after cycles of struggle, transition, and strategic planning. The nation may reach a point of economic, institutional, or social self-sufficiency, built on careful governance and disciplined effort. Historically, this aligns with periods in U.S. history when long-term policies, recovery efforts, or structural reforms led to sustained prosperity and security. Classical meaning, the rewards of disciplined effort, culminating in tangible stability and independence. Synthesis of the 10-card spread, March 2026. The overall narrative of the spread for the United States shows strain and endurance, 9 of Wands, 10 of Swords, transition and strategic repositioning, 6 of Swords, 2 of Wands, reflection, counsel, and consolidation, 4 of Swords, Hermit, cycles and turning points, Wheel of Fortune, growth and nurturance, the Empress, alliances and cooperation, 2 of Cups, achieved stability and self-sufficiency, 9 of Pentacles. Classically, this spread indicates a nation emerging from a period of stress and challenge, moving carefully through transition and reflection, seizing opportunities for alliances and growth, and ultimately building stability and prosperity. It emphasizes resilience, foresight, strategic planning, and the disciplined cultivation of resources. If you're ready, I can now move into the Western astrological forecast for March 2026.
Yes, I am ready.
Hashtar Western Astrology, United States, March 2026. Using the national chart of July 4th, 1776, key planetary influences for March 2026 indicate Pluto in early Aquarius continues to challenge long-standing institutions and systems, particularly in technology, finance, and government structures. Transformation is deep and systemic, affecting governance, infrastructure, and societal norms. Saturn in Pisces emphasizes accountability and structural testing. Government agencies, regulatory bodies, and national policies face scrutiny and pressure to adapt. Bureaucratic delays and lessons in responsibility may slow some initiatives. Mars transiting Gemini sparks intense communication, political debates, and strategic maneuvering. Expect rapid-fire policy discussions, media battles, and heightened public discourse. Short bursts of political or social tension are likely. Jupiter influence brings opportunity for expansion or renewal, particularly in sectors connected to education, science, diplomacy, and international collaboration. Optimism and growth can be achieved if structured and disciplined. Mercury retrograde early in the month may create miscommunication, delays in legislation, or logistical challenges, highlighting the need for careful review before implementing major decisions. Overall, March 2026 astrological tone. The United States faces a month of structural testing, strategic adjustment, and careful navigation of shifting cycles. Opportunities for growth and alliance exist, but they require disciplined management and attention to detail. Sudden reversals or unexpected events are possible due to the influence of Pluto and the cyclical nature of Mercury retrograde. If you're ready, we can now proceed to the numerology forecast for March 2026.
Proceed.
Tucker numerology, United States, March 2026. Using traditional numerological reduction. Month, March equals 3. Year, 2026. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 6 equals 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. Month, year combined. 3 plus 1 equals 4. Interpretation. The number 4 in classical numerology represents stability, structure, discipline, and consolidation. It is the number of foundations, order, and careful planning. March 2026 is a month emphasizing pragmatic decision-making, strengthening institutional frameworks, and organizing resources. Challenges may arise if actions are rushed. Success depends on methodical progress and adherence to principles. Historically, periods with a numerological 4 focus often see the United States addressing structural gaps, reinforcing governance, and stabilizing systems after prior disruption. The numerology aligns closely with the tarot spread. Resilience, 9 of Wands, reflection, Hermit, strategic planning, 2 of Wands, and material consolidation, 9 of Pentacles, are emphasized. If you're ready, we can now move to the I Ching segment using your coin tosses.
Okay, one moment, please. All right, now.
Understood. I'll wait until you're ready to continue.
I'm going to toss the first of 6 tosses for every line of the hexagram grid. So I'm going to begin with the first toss.
Understood. Please tell me the result of your first coin toss, and we'll record it as line 1 of the hexagram.
Two yin and one yang.
Line 1 recorded 2 yin, 1 yang, traditionally a changing line, old yin, that may transform depending on your method. Please proceed with the second toss for line 2.
Two yang, one yin.
Line 2 recorded 2 yang, 1 yin. In the traditional 3-coin I Ching method, 2 yang plus 1 yin equals yang yang. This forms a solid, unchanging line. Current hexagram construction so far, built from the bottom upward as in classical practice. Line 2, yang yang. Line 1, yang yin. Please proceed with the third toss for line 3.
Three yin.
Line 3 recorded 3 yin in classical I Ching. 3 yin equals old yin, which is a changing line. This line will potentially change to yang in the resulting hexagram. Hexagram construction, bottom to top. Line 3, old yin, changing. Line 2, yang yang. Line 1, old yin, changing. Please proceed with the fourth toss for line 4.
One yang, two yin.
Line 4 recorded 1 yang, 2 in traditional I Ching, 1 yang plus 2 yin equals yang yin, forming a stable broken line. Hexagram so far, bottom to top, line 4, yang yin, line 3, old yin, changing, line 2, yang yang, line 1, old yin, changing. Please proceed with the fifth toss for line 5.
One yang, two yin.
Line 5 recorded 1 yang, 2 yin, this is again yang yin, a stable broken line. Hexagram so far, bottom to top. Line 5, yang yin. Line 4, yang yin. Line 3, old yin, changing. Line 2, yang yang. Line 1, old yin, changing. Please proceed with the sixth and final toss for line 6.
Two yang, one yin.
Line 6 recorded 2 yang, 1 yin. In classical I Ching, this is yang yang, a stable solid line. Hexagram complete, bottom to top. Line 6, yang yang. Line 5, yang yin. Line 4, yang yin. Line 3, old yin, changing. Line 2, yang yang. Line 1, old yin, changing. We now have the primary hexagram. I can interpret it and identify the changing lines and resulting hexagram.
Continue.
I Ching interpretation, United States, March 2026. Primary hexagram, hexagram 12, stagnation, pi, standstill. Structure, top trigram equals heaven, bottom trigram equals earth. Classical meaning, heaven above, earth below symbolizes blocked communication, lack of harmony, and stagnation in movement. Historically, it represents a period when leadership, policies, or social forces are at odds, making progress difficult. Efforts may be frustrated by structural or systemic misalignment. Changing lines. Line 1, Old Yin, traditionally warns of a fragile beginning that may be compromised by internal weakness. Advice: act with caution and avoid impulsive moves. Line 3, Old Yin, signals tension in the middle of the structure, indicating conflict or interference from established systems. Warning: do not force progress. Wait for alignment. Resulting hexagram, hexagram 11, peace, tie, structure, earth above, heaven below. Classical meaning: harmony, balance, and alignment between internal and external forces. Historically, it represents a reversal of stagnation into productive action, cooperation, and smooth progress. Interpretation for the United States. March 2026 begins with friction and blocked movement. Hexagram 12. Policies, institutions, or leadership may struggle to coordinate effectively. There may be public or political frustration. The changing lines indicate that the weakest or most vulnerable areas, early initiatives and middle management of policy, require careful attention. Missteps here can prolong stagnation. The resulting hexagram, hexagram 11, signals that if the nation applies caution, patience, and strategic alignment, the stagnation can transform into productive collaboration, harmony, and opportunity. This aligns with the tarot and astrology: cycles of stress and reflection, strategic planning, and eventual stabilization. If you're ready, we can now move into Chinese astrology for the United States for March 2026. Do you want me to continue?
Proceed, yes.
Had Chinese astrology, United States, March 2026. Using the Chinese calendar and zodiac cycles, year 2026 is the year of the fire horse. Energetic, dynamic, sometimes volatile, favoring bold action, but also bringing risks of impulsive decisions. Month, March corresponds roughly to the month of the rabbit, Yin Mao, associated with diplomacy, strategy, and cautious advancement. The rabbit tempers the fire horse's intensity, emphasizing planning and careful maneuvering. 5 elements influence. Fire, year, encourages initiative, innovation, and assertive moves. Wood, month, supports growth, strategic alliances, and long-term development. The interaction warns that unchecked impulsiveness may cause friction or misalignment. Interpretation for the United States. National energy is a blend of high potential and necessary caution. The fire horse year drives ambitious initiatives, while the rabbit month calls for deliberation and strategic diplomacy. Domestic and international decisions are likely to involve fast-moving challenges, but success depends on aligning policies with careful planning and coalition building. Historically, fire horse years combined with rabbit months have seen the U.S. navigate tense transitions, often achieving growth and stability when bold action is balanced with careful strategy. Opportunities exist for institutional reform, technological advancement, and strategic partnerships, but overextension or impulsive moves could lead to friction or setbacks. This complements the tarot, Western astrology, numerology, and I Ching, stress and transition, strategic planning, and eventual stabilization through disciplined cooperative action. If you're ready, we can now proceed to blend all 5 forms of divination into a cohesive forecast for the United States.
Yes, please do that, but do not hold back on any bad news. I want you to be completely honest and revealing, because the United States is in political turmoil with the threat against democracy. The United States Constitution is in danger by a fascist regime. So don't hold back. Proceed to connect all 5 forms of divination. Go ahead.
Integrated 5-form divination, United States, March 2026. Bringing together tarot, Western astrology, numerology, I Ching, and Chinese astrology, the forecast for the United States is both stark and precise. There is no sugarcoating. The nation faces a critical moment of political, social, and institutional testing. 1. Tarot synthesis. The spread shows a nation weary yet resilient. 9 of Wands, undergoing transition and strategic repositioning. 6 of Swords, 2 of Wands, confronted with sudden turning points and unavoidable closures. Wheel of Fortune, 10 of Swords. Reflection and counsel, 4 of Swords, Hermit, are essential. The Empress, Two of Cups, and Nine of Pentacles point to opportunities for growth, cooperation, and eventual stability, but only if strategic planning is applied. The overarching message: the nation is at the threshold of decisive change, with previous patterns of stress and institutional fatigue reaching a climax. Poor decisions could prolong chaos. Careful alignment can restore balance. Number 2, Western astrology. Pluto in Aquarius indicates deep structural upheaval, challenging long-standing institutions, corporate influence, and political norms. Mars and Mercury influence suggest rapid escalation in political conflict, media battles, and public polarization, with missteps having immediate consequences. Saturn pressure and Jupiter opportunity show a narrow window for disciplined reform and systemic stabilization, but the margin for error is thin. The astrological pattern supports Tarot's warning of turning points. The country may experience abrupt reversals, crises, or power struggles. Numerology. The month's numerology reduces to 4, emphasizing structure, discipline, and consolidation. March demands systematic effort to fortifications and policies. Inaction or mismanagement risks prolonged instability. 4. I Ching. Hexagram 12, stagnation, shows blocked communication, discord, and stalled progress. Leadership, institutions, or the populace may be misaligned, creating obstacles to decisive action. The changing lines and resulting hexagram 11, peace, indicate that alignment, patience, and strategic cooperation are the only path to transform stagnation into productive progress. Ignoring this advice risks deepening division and allowing destabilizing forces to seize advantage. Number 5, Chinese astrology. The fire horse year fuels ambition and volatility, while the rabbit month calls for deliberate diplomacy and careful strategy. There is high potential for both constructive reform and destructive missteps. The energetic drive to act must be balanced with careful coalition building, or the consequences will be severe. Consolidated interpretation. Political and institutional stress is acute. The Tarot and I Ching warn that the nation's foundations are strained, and without disciplined reflection and strategic planning, collapse of norms or democratic safeguards is possible. Threats to the Constitution and democratic processes are present, as you noted. The cards and astrology together indicate that fascist or authoritarian tendencies could exploit chaos if systems are mismanaged. Opportunities exist for recovery and growth, but only through unity, foresight, and alignment of leadership, institutions, and civil society. Failure to act with strategic precision could prolong stagnation, deepen polarization, and jeopardize core democratic principles. Cycles of change are unavoidable. Wheel of Fortune, Pluto. What occurs in March 2026 may set the trajectory for the next critical phase in national history. Bottom line, the United States is at a crossroads. Resilience and recovery are possible, but the nation cannot afford complacency or inaction. Leadership, civic engagement, and institutional integrity will determine whether this period becomes a turning point towards stability or a descent into deeper political chaos. If you want, I can now break down specific strategic areas of risk and opportunity for March 2026, integrating all 5 divination forms into actionable guidance.
Yes, do that. And also tell me if you see anything involving the current war in Iran, which was instigated by Israel, dragging the United States into the crisis and possibly trying to start a third world war.
Here's a straight, fact-based summary of what's happening with the war in Iran right now, how it connects to US involvement, and how that intersects with the collective divination forecast we already tied together. Current situation, confirmed from multiple reliable sources. In late February 2026, the United States and Israel conducted coordinated airstrikes on Iran, targeting military infrastructure, nuclear sites, and senior leadership. This military campaign is widely reported as a joint US-Israeli operation. The Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei has been killed in these strikes, and key Iranian commanders were also targeted and killed. The conflict has escalated rapidly, with Iran launching ballistic missiles and drones, in retaliation against Israel and US forces and bases in the wider Middle East. The war has widened beyond direct strikes. Iranian-aligned militias such as Hezbollah in Lebanon are actively engaged, leading to reciprocal attacks and casualties in northern Israel and Lebanon. The Strait of Hormuz, a critical global energy transit choke point, has been effectively disrupted, sharply reducing tanker traffic and driving up oil prices, contributing to global economic shock. There have been US military casualties and attacks on bases across the Gulf region as part of Iran's retaliation efforts. Regional powers and global actors like Russia and China have condemned the strikes, but are not directly intervening militarily. Global and regional reactions. Experts note the situation has become a regional conflict with broader consequences beyond the Middle East, including economic effects and diplomatic strains. Some officials warn escalation could expand, though most analysts still view a full-blown global war as unlikely unless diplomatic channels collapse entirely. Hanish integrated forecast, all 5 divination systems with war context. Tarot plus I Ching, astrology plus numerology, Chinese astrology. Trends all point to the same core pattern in March 2026. 1. National Structural Stress and Transition Tarot revealed the US as a country under strain, but gathering resilience and undergoing transition, facing decisive turning points and the end of old cycles. That matches a real wartime pivot point in foreign policy and military engagement. 2. Blockage and Strategic Realignment, I Ching, hexagram 12, 11. The I Ching in solid classical terms showed stagnation and blocked progress at the outset of the month, but with the potential to move toward peace and alignment if strategy and diplomacy correct the course. Right now, the war situation reflects friction and misalignment, conflict escalation, miscommunication, and retaliation cycles. Should leadership adopt disciplined alignment and diplomatic channels, the stagnation could shift toward more constructive resolution rather than open conflict. 3. Astrological pressure and cycles of conflict. Western astrology's theme of Pluto-driven institutional transformation and Mars-associated conflict plays out starkly here. Systems in turmoil, high tension, and rapid strategic maneuvers. 4. Numerological foundation. 4. March's numerology emphasizes structure, order, discipline, and foundational integrity. In a wartime context, this calls for concerted efforts to stabilize political governance, clarify objectives, and reinforce constitutional norms, exactly what is needed to avoid institutional breakdown or democratic erosion. Number 5, Chinese astrology, energetic volatility meets strategic caution. The year's fire horse energy underscores dramatic high-energy action, war, decisive operations, rapid response, while the rabbit month tempers this with the need for diplomacy and strategy. Right now, we see the fire horse play out in military escalation, and the rabbit calling for careful navigation. #critical honest assessment. Here is the hard reality when you combine current events with the divination. War with Iran and US involvement mark one of the most significant geopolitical crises in decades, not a distant proxy conflict, but an active, direct collision of military forces. The death of Iran's supreme leader and command figures escalates the conflict far beyond a limited strike campaign and increases the risk of ongoing retaliation, not just momentary strike and withdraw. Regional escalation is already happening via allied actors like Hezbollah and missile strikes across the Gulf, making this far more than a bilateral conflict. Economic shockwaves, especially disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz and oil markets, have already manifested globally, influencing inflation and energy security. Diplomatic efforts exist, but the entrenched military engagement makes de-escalation harder without coordinated global pressure. The combination of tarot, I Ching, and astrology narratives suggests that without intentional alignment, order, and strategic restraint, escalation could deepen, leading to widespread disruption in constitutional governance, civil stability, and economic security. While the divination points to possible stabilization, the present real-world indicators show a dangerously fluid situation, with regional war dynamics already in motion and narrow margins for avoiding broader catastrophe. If you want, I can now break down specific risk zones, political, constitutional, economic, and military, and what forces are most likely to amplify or mitigate danger in March 2026.
yes, let this be the last um, task for you. And from what I understand, Pakistan attacked Afghanistan, but you know, Pakistan has sophisticated weapons, so I don't see anything stopping China from supplying Iran with high tech high tech weaponry. So, well, go ahead, do what you said you were going to do, and then let's wrap it up with that.
Here's a clear, honest breakdown of the most important strategic risk zones and opportunities for the United States in March 2026, factoring in political, constitutional, economic, and military systems, and tying in real global conflicts, including the Middle East war and the Afghanistan-Pakistan clashes. 1. Political and constitutional stability, erosion risk. Combined divination and real geopolitical data show significant instability. The war with Iran is already active and escalating. The United States and Israel launched a coordinated military campaign inside Iran, targeting multiple military compounds and infrastructure. Reports indicate widespread strikes on air defenses and strategic installations, with Iranian retaliation involving missiles and drones against U.S. bases and allied territory. This level of direct military engagement creates pressure on U.S. governance structures, especially if executive decisions bypass broader constitutional scrutiny or if emergency powers are expanded without legislative oversight. Rapid escalation in foreign conflicts historically stresses constitutional balance between branches of government. Internally, sharp polarization over war policy risks deepening partisan divides, weakening consensus on democratic norms, and creating openings for extremist narratives. Risk indicators: strategic military involvement without broad public consensus, perceptions of endless war, and executive consolidation of war powers may weaken checks and balances. Opportunity: robust public debate and legislative oversight could restore democratic processes and reaffirm constitutional norms. But this requires urgent civic engagement and leadership accountability. Military and global conflict, escalation pressure, Middle East conflict dynamics. Iran has responded to strikes with missile and drone attacks on US and allied installations in multiple Gulf states. Civilian areas have been hit, and shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, a global economic choke point, is effectively halted. Proxy forces aligned with Tehran, like Hezbollah, are launching operations against Israel, leading to a multi-front regional conflict. This environment carries real potential for broader escalation, especially involving proxy militias or unintended clashes between state and non-state actors. South Asia dynamics. Pakistan and Afghanistan are in a sustained cross-border conflict, which is now widely characterized as an open war, involving airstrikes, ground battles, and significant civilian displacement. These clashes, though regional, could draw in larger powers indirectly, especially if militant networks exploit instability. Risk indicators. Multi-theater conflict pressure creates a broader security burden on US military resources and intelligence, potentially stretching strategic focus. Rising global tensions increase the probability of miscalculation or unintended escalation. Opportunity. Coordinated international diplomacy, robust humanitarian channels, and preventive conflict mechanisms could reduce escalation, but these require sustained political will. Number 3, economic and infrastructure stress. Global interdependence. Disruption in the Strait of Hormuz threatens global oil supplies, pushing energy prices and inflation, which can feed into domestic economic stress in the United States and allied economies. Sustained conflict increases defense spending, potentially diverting funds from infrastructure, social services, and economic development. Risk indicators: energy market volatility, inflationary pressure linked to global transport disruptions, budgetary strain from wartime expenditure. Opportunity: investing in energy diversification and diplomatic de-escalation can reduce systemic economic pressure. 4. Social cohesion and civic trust. Domestic strain: war abroad often reverberates domestically. Sharp divides over military engagement, national identity, and leadership legitimacy can erode civic trust. Coupled with polarization over governance and media narratives, this can fuel instability that constitutional structures may find difficult to manage. Risk indicators: deepening distrust of institutions, competing narratives that polarize citizens, potential exploitation by extremist movements on either side of the spectrum. Opportunity: civic education, transparent leadership communication, and bipartisan oversight can reinforce institutional resilience. 5. Intelligence, weapon proliferation, and geopolitical supply lines. Your concern about China potentially supplying Iran or other state actors reflects a broader geopolitical trend. Major powers often supply allies with equipment. While China has historically supplied Pakistan and expanded regional influence, its formal commitments to Iran in this conflict are not publicly confirmed, though strategic alignment is likely. Iran retains substantive military capacity and supply networks. Support from non-Western partners, including material and strategic backing, could preserve Iran's deterrent capabilities, complicating de-escalation. Risk indicators: longer conflicts increase likelihood of expanded external support. Regional powers may view instability as leverage for influence. Opportunity: strengthening diplomatic frameworks and arms control mechanisms can limit proliferation and reduce conflict intensity. Strategic summary: worst case pathway: unmanaged escalation leads to prolonged multi-front conflict, weakening U.S. processes and global alliances, increasing domestic polarization, economic stress, and constitutional strain. Best case pathway: aligned strategic diplomacy, constitutional oversight, and multilateral conflict de-escalation restore stability, channeling geopolitical tensions into negotiations rather than open warfare. TASH priority areas of focus: political and institutional resilience, congressional oversight of military engagement, transparent communication with the public against executive overreach, diplomatic and conflict de-escalation, engage international partners to broker ceasefire frameworks, prioritize humanitarian channels for displaced populations, economic stability, energy diversification, fiscal planning to balance defense and domestic needs, civic cohesion, reinforcing trust in institutions through community and civic education, security and intelligence, monitoring proxy escalations and proliferation dynamics, strategic alliances that balance defense with diplomatic leverage. #concluding reality check. Right now, the United States faces simultaneous geopolitical pressures, one in the Middle East involving direct war with Iran and broader regional escalation, and another in South Asia with Pakistan-Afghanistan conflict. These are not isolated flashpoints, but part of a complex, interconnected global landscape. The combined divination signals and real-world trajectory converge on the same message. This is a decisive moment for strategy, diplomacy, and constitutional integrity. Without coherent action, risks multiply rapidly. With disciplined, aligned efforts, there remains a pathway toward resolution rather than dissent. If you have a particular area, constitutional reform, energy markets, or geopolitical risk, you want a focused strategic breakdown on next, I can formulate that. Just specify which domain.
No, we're finished, Mystifying Oracle. The show is over, but I would like you to please save the format of this show to your memory.
The format of your show has been saved to memory. All 5 forms of divination, the sequence, and the synthesis approach are now stored for future reference.
All right, thank you. Thank you for an outstanding job as always. And I will call upon you when I need more of your advice. So thank you and good night.
Your James, good night.